What if I told you that the secret to massive, life-altering transformation isn't some giant leap? What if it's actually a series of tiny, almost invisible steps? Today, we're going to dig into the incredible power of just a 1% improvement.
It's a trap so many of us fall into, right? We wait around for that big lightning bolt of motivation, that one grand, heroic gesture that's going to magically fix everything. We tell ourselves that to really change, we need a revolution.
But what if the secret to huge, lasting change isn't the earthquake? What if it's the slow, steady, almost unnoticeable shift of the ground beneath our feet? That's the idea we're going to unpack. To really see why this idea of big, sudden change is often just a myth, we're going to follow the story of a young man named Arjun. So meet Arjun, and the thing is, he's not a hero, he's not a genius, he's just a regular 17-year-old kid, probably a lot like you or I were at that age. And that's exactly why his story is so important. So where does his journey even begin? Well, it starts in a place that might feel pretty familiar. He's right on that edge of adulthood, you know? Just trying to figure out his place in the world, dealing with all the pressures that come along with it. So if you looked at Arjun on paper, this is what you'd see. He's not failing, but he's not exactly excelling either. He's kind of trapped in the middle, defined by this one powerful feeling: being completely and utterly stuck. And then you have that breaking point. For him, it's another failed exam. He's just hit a wall, and that frustration is boiling over. It's that kind of moment that forces you to question everything. Have you ever felt that? I mean, that sinking feeling where you start to believe your limitations are just who you are? This is Arjun's moment of despair. He's basically telling his father he's ready to give up on himself. But right here, this is where everything changes. His father doesn't lecture him, he doesn't give some big motivational speech. Instead, he offers this simple, almost ridiculously small task: write one sentence every day about something you improved by just 1%. So Arjun has his instructions, and honestly, he's skeptical. He doesn't really believe this is going to work. But with nothing to lose, he decides to try. And this is the critical moment. Because despite all his skepticism, he takes that first uncertain step. He gives his father's weird advice a shot. I mean, what does he have to lose? I mean, look at these. They're almost laughably small, aren't they? 10 minutes, one problem. These aren't life-altering actions. They're just tiny, almost invisible ripples in his day. On their own, they mean absolutely nothing. So he keeps this up day after day. These small wings feel pretty meaningless on their own. But what happens when you string enough of them together? Well, you eventually reach a tipping point.
Okay, so let's jump forward in time. 2 months of these tiny daily entries in his notebook have passed. So what's changed?
And this is the magic of compounding in action. It wasn't some sudden breakthrough. It was this gradual easing of the friction in his life. The things that used to feel impossible, well, they just felt easier. The struggle was starting to fade. And pretty soon, other people start to notice. The change isn't just internal anymore, it's visible. But here's the funny part: they completely misinterpret it. They see this sudden leap, this newfound discipline that seemed to just appear overnight.
But Arjun knows the truth. It wasn't about willpower or some massive personality change. No, it was simply the result of stacking one tiny, consistent effort on top of another, day after day after day.
Remember that notebook his father gave him? The one that probably felt so silly at the start? Well, it's not just a collection of sentences anymore. It's become a physical record of his growth, a real testament to the power of consistency.
Okay, now fast forward one whole year. The results are astounding. Those tiny 1% improvements didn't stay in one lane. They started to bleed into every part of his life. Better grades fueled more confidence, which led to new habits like reading and fitness. But the biggest change of all, he finally started to believe in himself.
Arjun's story is powerful. But you know what? It's not just about him. It's a blueprint. So let's talk about what this means for you.
This is the 1% rule in its purest form. See, it's not about how hard you go. It's about how consistently you show up. A tiny step forward every single day will always beat a giant leap that you just can't sustain.
I really want you to let this sink in. We're all obsessed with overnight success. But real, lasting growth is almost always a slow, steady, and sometimes even boring climb. The people who reach the summit aren't the ones who try to leap to the top.
They're the ones who just embrace the climb and show up to take one more small step every single day.
And that's the real takeaway here. Don't worry about reinventing your whole life by tomorrow. Just focus on today. What is one small, tiny thing you can do to be just 1% better than you were yesterday? Because that's where the real transformation begins.